As humans, we have this natural inclination towards finding that thing that gives us meaning. And when you find it, you're overcome with a sense of complete satisfaction. And it helps to answer that question, why? Why am I here? I'm talking about finding that thing that truly defines who you are. It's different for all of us. From creating music, to becoming a political activist, or even climbing a mountain. But for Aaron and I, that thing is snowboarding. It defines who we are. This is Aaron about 7 years ago, mid-flight during a backside 720, defying gravity and the inherent danger that goes along with jumping off the side of a mountain. This was his passion and the moments that we live for. It's this incredible feeling when you're flying through the crisp mountain air, your adrenaline pumping, and in that moment, you're free. And you're filled with joy, absolute joy. It's this consuming feeling that once you've felt it, it becomes an obsession. Like anybody's true passion, you crave it. But we still wanted more. I remember sitting on the chairlift and we'd be sharing dreams during a storm of how we wanted to take snowboarding to the next level. Whether it was to land that new trick on our next run, or potentially make it as a pro one day. We wanted to experience snowboarding on a deeper level, a more fundamental level. And we knew we wanted to make an impact and become a part of its history. We didn't quite know yet how we'd make that contribution, but we were sure our futures would be full of more days on the mountain, riding fresh powder snow, jumping off everything in sight, and progressing the sport together.
But one day everything changed. I was in Whistler riding with a group of my friends, and we were hitting the last jump in the terrain park. And I went to do a trick that I've done hundreds of times. I could have done it first run of the day blindfolded if I wanted to. But when I took off the lip of the jump, I immediately lost control. And as I flew through the air, I remember thinking to myself, you know what? As long as I land on the downslope of the landing, I'll be totally fine. But the second I hit the ground, my entire body just went numb. And I slid motionless to the bottom of the landing. And when I finally came to a stop, I tried desperately to move anything, my arms or my legs, or even a finger, but nothing was moving. And all I could do was stare at the clear blue sky above me. And in that moment, it was like time just stood still. I knew that I had just broken my neck. I knew that I was never going to walk again. And I just stared up at that blue sky and thought to myself, I wonder what my life's going to be like 5 years from now. And of all the things I knew that I just lost from my life forever, the only thing I could think about was the fact that I was never going to snowboard again. Well, it wasn't until I woke up in the hospital the next day that the full reality of this really sunk in. I mean, snowboarding was my life. It's what I thought of first thing in the morning, all day long, and when I went to bed. And now it was gone. And these were without a doubt the darkest days of my entire life. But I needed to escape from there. I knew that life was too grand an opportunity for me to just let it slip away. And it occurred to me I either had to find a new way of pursuing my passion, find a new passion, or risk living a life without meaning. That really got me thinking. Then one day as I was lying in my hospital bed, I had a revelation.
And I went to visit Aaron the next day in the hospital, and when I walked into his room, there's just something different. There was this new light about him. And that's when he shared this revelation with me. It was this innovative idea to create a massive airbag that you can jump into and land any way and not get hurt. He called it the landing pad. And, this idea just instantly clicked with me. And it wasn't just the fact that we were going to be able to save others from preventing injury, but it allowed my best friend to continue pursuing his passion. So we looked at each other and, without a word, knew that we were committed to making this happen. So we set off on a mission to design an airbag specifically for our sport that would best replicate the actual jumping environment, with a sloped shape to create a similar experience, but a safer way to learn and practice tricks. Now, taking this idea to reality wasn't going to be easy, but because we knew we were going to be contributing to the sport that inspired us so much, we had to take a risk. And the reality was, nothing like this had been designed before. We're still engineering undergrad students. We had absolutely no money, let alone the business experience. But we went for it because we knew we were pursuing that thing that gave us meaning. And that gave us the power to persevere. We brought the landing pad to life. And when we inflated it and revealed it to the world for the first time, we knew our risk had paid off. This is one of our best riding buddies, Eric Poulin, doing a backflip. A trick he always wanted to learn, but in a decade of snowboarding, he never tried it because the consequences with falling were so severe. But the landing pad eliminates that. And after one day and a few tries, Eric totally had it figured out. Now he's landing backflips all the time. And it was incredible to finally see our creation actively helping others progress. We knew that we had accomplished our goal. But it wasn't only rewarding for us. The landing pad allowed us to share that feeling of consuming joy with everybody who used it. No matter what your skill level, from beginner to expert, it allowed you to push your own personal limits. And that's really what's at the heart of freestyle snowboarding. And now I look back to those inspiring moments on the chairlift when Aaron and I would muse over our dreams to progress the sport. And I never could have fathomed having made such a profound impact.
And it was that revelation I had that opened the door to making this impact possible. But if it wasn't for the fact that we took that risk, then none of this would have been a reality. For all I know, if Stephen and I didn't take that chance, we'd be sitting behind a desk somewhere, wondering what could have been. We never would have made this impact on our sport. We never would have been featured in Popular Science for Invention of the Year. And we never would have been able to welcome the world to Vancouver at the opening ceremony of the 2010 Winter Games. So don't worry about what you could be losing if you take a chance. Worry about what you could be missing if you decide not to. Because the bottom line is, if you're not pursuing what you're passionate about, if you're not doing that thing that answers the question, why am I here? Then you're just wasting your time. And it took me losing everything to realize that. But you don't have to. You have the power to make a choice. Because in the end, that's all it comes down to. It's kind of like Mark Twain once said, 20 years from now, the things you'll be most disappointed by are the things you didn't do, not the ones you did. So throw away the bow lines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails, explore, dream, and discover. Thank you very much.